Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this very special February 25th edition of Mastering Enterprise Networking. I'm your host today, Jeff Gelino, and we're here to talk about a real awesome event that happened 2 weeks ago, Cisco Live EMEA. And so let's get this going here. And so again, today's session, we're going to be focused on some of the updates and innovation that we brought out to the world 2 weeks ago when we were in Amsterdam. And a high level overview agenda for what we're going to be up to today. I'm going to greet y'all. That's what we're doing now. So if you're here now, you're listening to me, you are on time. We're also going to have a very special guest today, Brink Sanders. Brink, it felt disingenuous like doing a Cisco Live EMEA presentation without an actual Cisco Live EMEA guest on the call. So Brink was our feet on the street, and he's going to be reporting in live. We also have Al on the call with us today. Al is one of our many RF experts here at Cisco. He's going to be talking about some of the new Wi-Fi 7 hardware and really getting into how Cisco is implementing artificial intelligence across both our cloud and on-prem portfolios. Towards the back half, Yale O is going to be joining us. He is from our IoT team, and he's going to be giving us some MV updates. We got some new models, we got some new features. It's going to be really awesome. And then to bring it home here, we're going to have a giveaway. So stick around to the end. Pay attention during the session. We're going to have a really brief quiz, and two lucky attendees today are going to be bringing home Wi-Fi 7 hardware. So again, our event host today, again, myself, Jeff Gelino, Brink Sanders, we're going to have him on in a second, Al Gumdi, who's a solutions engineer, and Yale O. So, get to know us, look us up on LinkedIn, and join our networks, and stay tuned because we do these as a series. We have these every month, and we want everyone out there to be able to master their EN networking portfolio. All right, so Cisco Live EMEA updates. And Brink, are you out there? Is he on with us?
I don't think he's on yet. He's we made him register. So,
All right. Well, Brink is registering for the webinar here. Al, we'll give this
yeah.
a second.
What should you want to just kind of jump to some of the updates? We can start with maybe some of the updates from Cisco Live, and then when Brent gets on, I'll give you the ball back.
It
Yeah,
looks like he just hopped on as well. Sorry to interrupt here.
Oh, perfect. Oh,
excellent.
Awesome.
Perfect. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to stop sharing here. Brink, great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I was saying, this would have been totally disingenuous for us to have a Cisco Live EMEA update without having actual feet on the street from the session to join the call. So thank you so much for joining us here today. And then, I was hoping I could ask you a few questions if that was good with you.
Percent. I'm glad I got the last little bit of audio there because I was not hearing anything for a second. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
I can see the look on his face. He was still trying to get online.
Brink, this is killing me. It's all good.
I apologize for the registration thing.
It's all good. It's all good. How's everybody doing today?
Good. We're doing great and much better now that you're here. Brink, I went and I got a suit coat. I was on the Meraki team for a decade, so I had to knock the dust off this thing, but I want to look good for you joining us here today.
It's all good. I resist coats as often as I possibly can, so it is not my style. I live in Santa Cruz. In fact, I have flip-flops on right now. I resent having to put on closed-toed shoes these days. It kind of is what it is. So
awesome. That's great. Well, Brink, this is an enterprise networking focused monthly update that we're giving here. And again, we just wanted to ask you a few questions, kind of a vibe check on what was happening in Cisco Live EMEA. So if you're ready,
100%, let's dive in.
Questions for you. All right. So first one, I got to get down to the big details here. What was the best food bite you had while you were over in Amsterdam?
Does anybody know what a bitterballen is?
Never heard of it.
So this is one of those foods that is it's very unique to the Netherlands, and you feel your arteries harden the second you take a bite. So it's fried balls of gravy, basically. So if you've ever had like fried mozzarella in like a in a ball, it's that, but it's gravy inside. So super tasty, incredibly unhealthy. But yeah, that was my favorite.
That is awesome. Yeah, that would definitely leave a lasting impression here as well. All right. Now let's talk about the event itself. I'm assuming you made it inside.
I did,
So
yes, yes.
what was the most memorable? This was 2 weeks ago, so you kind of have some like, looking back, what was the most memorable technical demonstration or solution that you saw?
So I'll have to follow my proverbial sword here. I spent more time in meetings with customers or in main stage. I did not get to see specifically technical demos, but what I will tell you, I spent a little bit of time at Capture the Flag and the session that was set up there. It was packed. Every single seat was taken. And I came in right after one of the talks, and I think the space that they had was set up for maybe, I don't know, probably 50, 60 people could kind of fit in front of the speaker area. There must have been, and I'm cheating a little bit because I know the number, but when I was there, I'm like, there have to have been. This was an IPv6 session. I'm like, there have to have been over 200 people there, and Alfredo told me afterwards, 250 people badged in to see this IPv6 session. And honestly, he said that there were three or four others that it was standing room only, like well into the rows where people were working on their Capture the Flag project. So just awesome to see the attention, like hands-on, and that topic. There were others there, but just so excited to see the concentration of customers and the excitement around that.
Yeah, it's awesome. The Cisco CTF capture the flag are great ways to like, gamify technical knowledge. So we certainly enjoy doing those internally at Cisco as well as externally with our users. And IPv6 adoption. Wow, I'm happy that's finally taking off.
I mean, it's absolutely. We've been at it for a lot of years. We actually are seeing. I think it's in EMEA specifically. There's a lot of countries that are really starting to push that. We're starting to see it show up in RFPs, and so I think the attention from the technical teams, the focus is very timely. So one of many things that are going on in the EMEA region that I saw at Cisco Live.
Yeah, that's awesome. I believe one of our EN offices in London actually runs purely on IPv6, the old Meraki office there. All right. Well, next question I have for you. So how do you see Cisco leveraging AI to really deliver new outcomes for our customers?
Uh, there's so many different ways. Let me talk about EN first, right? I think you've all heard about the capabilities deep in our portfolio, things like radio resource management, the way that we can power on and off APs in a given environment based on how we read the environmentals. Great stuff with spaces that's starting to come up. Um, I'm probably more excited about where we're headed. More and more as we get closer to Cisco Live in the US, we're going to start sharing kind of that vision that we've got for how newer innovations in AI, think, agents. You've seen some of this play out in the security portfolio, the cloud portfolio. We've had a private beta out there in the enterprise networking portfolio. The more and more that starts to roll in and the capabilities that we add in are going to be so exciting for our customers. So, the private beta feedback's been fantastic. I think we're just getting going there. But I think you're going to see a pretty massive acceleration over the next few months that I'm super excited about, and I think our customers are going to be thrilled with.
That's awesome. So essentially, that was a tease that you got to come to Cisco Live in San Diego
100%.
this was the pre-announcement for the actual announcement. Well, yeah, I mean, it's
I'm
certainly
just saying, if
changing.
it doesn't have AI in it, like you should hold us accountable that we're not really launching anything, right? That's certainly what the market wants to see from us. So look, all joking aside, I do think, we saw some great stuff at Cisco Live EMEA. I think in this portfolio in particular, our best days are ahead, and I'm really excited about what the teams are working on. I think G2 coming in as the overall product lead, Anurag, who's been in the collab side for a long time, taking on the engineering lead for all of the networking portfolio. the pace at which the teams are focused on innovating in AI, I think is something that I haven't seen in my time at Cisco, and I'm super excited for what's coming.
We all are excited for what's coming. So that's
Mm.
great. All right. So the next one. So you mentioned that you didn't make a lot of technical sessions because you were talking to clients when you were out there. So what were some reoccurring themes that you heard coming up over and over from Cisco users, at the session?
So I'll take two angles because I spent a good bit of time with customers and I spent a good bit of time with partners there as well. On the customer side, a couple of things. One, and I kind of knew this, but it was great to hear it. I think our customers are super excited that we are, shall we say, removing the daylight between the different aspects of our portfolio, right? Wi-Fi 7 APs, unified licensing, that ability to really simplify how they consume networking infrastructure from us, that we're not forcing them in this binary decision between Catalyst or Meraki at this stage, that really is converging. I got a lot of great feedback about that. I think there's a lot of customers that are excited to leverage some of the benefits of the technology, irrespective of kind of which side they're coming from in that. And seeing us just kind of remove it as a decision, right? You just get the best from Cisco when you buy Cisco. So that was probably that was a huge part of the feedback that I got. Just excitement. They all want us to go faster. I hear them. I want us to go faster too. It's probably my biggest ongoing dialogue with our engineering teams is I wanted this a year ago. Can we please make it? Can we please make it now? So that whole conversation. I think the other one that bled between our customers and our partners was a big focus on, okay, I see the business, I see my data center teams or the business teams that are working in the cloud start to think really deeply about the role that AI is going to play in their environment. And they're starting to think, how do I set up my network to make that happen, right? So much of this innovation and this focus is on models and, whether it's large language models, whether it's the business problems they solve, centralized, distributed, all of that. How do they start to get ahead of that game and really think about the users and what they need to consume and how that's going to change requirements in the network? So that was a big facet of the discussion. And if I kind of flip to the partner side, it was the flip side of that. It was, okay, Cisco, let's talk about how we can start to help customers collectively navigate that, right? I met with a couple of our partners that do more kind of consulting engagements all the way through like broad-based transformations. And it's like, how do we think about what transformation will look like, lay out those journeys, and really be better partners to our customers as they think about preparing for what's coming next? And so that was a big part of the dialogue. I thought it was really exciting. I love the fact that everybody's leaning in and trying to get ahead of it. Some of the ideas about how to use that technology. We had a AIDA Cruises, which is a major cruise ship in EMEA, on stage at the innovation session, and just talking about what they're trying to do around the guest experience, the role that AI can play over time in that, and the degree to which their customers really rely on wireless, remotely on a ship, and how they provide it. That was really, really cool stuff, and it's kind of forward thinking about what we could do with technology in the future.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean the portfolios coming together. That's something that I think, as engineers at Cisco as well as Cisco users, we agree can't happen soon enough. The simplicity of the cloud, the sophistication of the Catalyst and iOS XE feature set, bringing those together, I think, very natural outcome.
We're going to
And
get a
then,
look at some
yeah,
of that
if
today, right?
Oh, Al, I hope so, man. And then
Yeah.
and then we were saying, we're building out these high performance compute data centers. We need a high performance network to connect them to.
Right.
If we need to make sure we're maximizing that investment to have access to our workloads, not just build these. So it sounds like the people you were talking to, they have their head in the right space when it comes to the direction of Cisco over the coming years here. Awesome. Now, I have one last question for you, and this is kind of like a bit of a retrospective. So, Cisco Live EMEA, it was 2 weeks ago now. So looking back, like, what's your overall perspective from the event? Like, what's your overall feeling? How'd it go? What did we do really
Uh,
well?
it was awesome. Look, Couple of things. We had record attendance, and it wasn't just in the main stage session or at the show overall. It was in each of the breakouts and in capability areas. So the Innovation Center, we had an SD-WAN customer event. Like, there's so many things that we're doing, and we're getting more and more participation. One of the things that I love, man, we got some great honest feedback, right? So our SD-WAN executive advisory board, they started to talk about what are the things they're looking to do next. We're in EMEA. Data sovereignty is a big deal. There's been, whether it's what's going on in Ukraine, whether it's reports of, undersea cable severing for a couple of countries, like this big conversation around how do you start to bring in LEO satellite, Starlink, et cetera, as part of your connectivity? How do you think about survivability of networking in a given country? So all these really unique EMEA things started to come out, but more than anything, if you kind of up level it a little bit, people really diving in on Cisco. Here's where we need your help. We love partnering with you. We know if we do it together, we're gonna see the success that we need to. So that kind of customer engagement and camaraderie, the scale was just awesome. And I have to say, not to plug him too much, but it is awesome to see G2 come into the role that he's in, really embrace being an overall product leader at Cisco for the first time in my time here, like really, truly all products. And the pace of innovation he's driving, you can see it in the way he talks about the technology on stage. I'm excited about him getting deeper in networking, but I can tell you in the conversations I'm having behind the scenes, the things that wind up on stage, that excitement about where we can go and the focus on delighting customers is just something that is so thrilling for me. And every time I see him on stage, like that's who you get in private meetings as well. Like for anybody who sees it, like it is the same guy. And that's how he drives his teams. It's with the same passion. So I'm incredibly thrilled about that. And then last, super tactical. I love seeing our next generation or our next release of Wi-Fi 7 APs out there to kind of make it accessible to a bigger part of the market. I love seeing the MS150 up there on main stage. For those of you who buy our switching, particularly those who've been in the Meraki world, we've had a little bit of a gap for a while in what we're offering you in that space, and we managed to get a new switch out there that's got some great capabilities. I'm actually running one here at home on my Wi-Fi 7 APs. You can probably see it behind the picture back there, that UPoE plus in there, and so it's awesome. So anyway, it was exciting to see that stuff get launched as well, and I'm looking forward to that growth over the next few months.
Well, that was actually pretty impressive, Brink, that we had you on for near 15 minutes. And the last thing you mentioned was this new hardware. Cisco, a company known for our hardware. And we talked about software capabilities, about AI capabilities. And yeah, we're continuing to deliver best in class hardware, because if you're serious about your user experience, you got to be serious about your hardware and the software that's on it. Well,
100%.
Brink, if you have any parting words of wisdom for us, we're all ears. Otherwise, I have to, hand it off to our first technical our leader here.
All good. Enjoy the session. Dive in. Hopefully, we see as many of you as possible at Cisco Live US. More exciting announcements, but I don't say that to diminish EMEA. Hopefully, you'll see some great stuff today. So, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Brink.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Thank
man.
you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
All right. And now our next presenter, Al. Al, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but I do want everyone that's out there to know we do have the chat open. We do have the Q&A open, more importantly. And in the panel today is Mincy Kim. Mincy Kim is one of our product managers on our wireless team, and he is very, very familiar with our AI algorithms and our AI integrations as it comes to wireless across both portfolios. So if you have any good questions that come up, or any questions at all that come up during this presentation, do not hesitate, drop them in the Q&A, and Mincy is there monitoring. All right, Al, the floor is yours.
All right. Can you see my screen okay?
We got you.
All right. Very good. All right. As Jeff mentioned, we have a couple of new, so I'm going to go through a number of different innovations that were announced during Cisco Live in Europe. And so to start with, we're going to start with a little bit of hardware. There were 2 access points that were recently announced, the CW9172i and the H model. Just as an example, I have an H model here, just so you know, they're real, they're shipping, or not shipping yet, but they're in beta at this point. So, maybe just kind of a comparison, if anybody's interested, if you had the like the 9105s before. This is, I don't know if you can see my screen. This is what they look like, right? So difference in terms of physically, this is a little bit flatter, but a little bit wider compared to maybe like some of the 1815. So again, a little bit larger, but a little bit flatter. The key with these, the H model is it has these Ethernet ports on the bottom, right? So when we talk about the differences between them, this is the big difference. And then obviously the other thing is it's meant to go on a wall plate. So when we think about the patterns from this, it's going to look best when we have this upright. Okay. All right. So let's look at some of the details around these new access points. The 9172s both have 6 spatial streams. Typically, that'll be 2x2 on 2.4, 2x2 on 5, and 2x2 on 6 gig. With the 9172i only, we can double down on the 5 gig and make it 2x2 on 2.4 and 4x4 on 5 gig, and then of course no 6 gig in that particular case. That is not the case for the H model, right? The H model will always have 2x2x2. All right. Both have the BLE IoT. Notice I didn't say ultra wideband. I just said BLE IoT. That's important as we talk, because we're going to look at some actual like blue dot tracking in a second. And we're going to be doing that based on BLE. But as we get into things, like ultra wideband for maybe future discussions, just bear in mind, these wouldn't be the access points you'd want to, for example, go deploy a large hall with, right? They're not that kind of a high capacity AP. The 9172i, of course, has USB power up to 4.5 watts if you need to power an external device. They are DC power. You can power them through a DC jack. We showed you on the 9172H the 3 gigabit, the 3 1 gig LAN ports. One of those LAN ports, and it's marked, one of those LAN ports has the ability to do PoE out. It's number 1, right? So we can do PoE out on one of those ports, provided we have enough power. We're going to look at the power requirements in a second. There is one pass-through port. Just if you've never used these before, there's a pass-through port on the bottom. So basically what happens is you can connect your switch to this, and then there's a jumper in the back. So effectively you can jumper it through to the back. So it comes in from the bottom, jumpers through, and that way you don't have to have a cable in the back if you don't want to, other than just that little jumper. And again, both of them omnidirectional. Both of them are the global use APs, right? So global use meaning that if you're an international country, you get your access point. It's not configured for a country to start with. In fact, it's true, I guess, domestically too. But if you get your access point, it's not configured for the country. You can configure that access point, and there's multiple ways to do that. You can configure that access point for the country on the spot, right? And so the intention is not to go to global use APs, but just know that these access points will support that, as will the future ones, right? And it's compatible with the existing brackets from either the older H brackets from Meraki and the Catalyst 9105. Okay. From a PoE standpoint, of course, with BT or UPoE, we have 2x2 on all radios. The big difference is on 9172, you can power the USB port at that 4.5 watts. With AT, we can do 2x2 on all radios, but no USB. We can also do 2x2 on 2.4, like we mentioned, and the double down on the 5 gig. On the H model, same thing applies to, if we're using BT or AT, we can do 2x2, sorry, on all of the ports. The difference is if you want to have PoE out on that Ethernet port, you need to have the UPoE or 802.3 BT capability on the input side. Okay. So that's the switch requirements, or the power PoE requirements from the switch for the access points. And then of course, 2.5 gig is kind of the M gig is kind of the standard for that. All right. The other thing these access points come with is they all come with that one networking subscription. So as you know, if you've been following Cisco, or you're part of Cisco, you know that we have been working towards getting one SKU from a hardware standpoint. We've done that a while back. We did that with our Wi-Fi 6 EAPs, for example. Now we're continuing that moving forward, but we're adding the unified licensing model. So it's one license, as opposed to having a cloud-based license or an on-prem based license. It's one license. You can use it wherever you want to use it. And as Brink mentioned, this is exciting to, I think, our customers, because this simplifies their need to meet what they want to do. If they want cloud, if they want on-prem, they want a hybrid model, they can support those with that same unified licensing model, and furthermore, the same product support model, right? So this has all been recently announced. And this wasn't actually, this next announcement is brand new. It's from this morning. It is probably only going to pertain to a handful of folks here. But if you're familiar with what FedRAMP is and what it means to the government, there's a Fed government, there's a state ramp and a FedRAMP. It's a big deal, right? And so Meraki, after a long haul, has finally achieved FedRAMP. So that's big news for Meraki. And you can see a little bit about what that takes, right? It's a separate cloud for the government. We have 24/7 on soil support, if you will. The data stays on the U.S. soil. This is not new to Cisco. We've done this with other, with the on-prem solutions. We've done this with other types of solutions. So that's not new, but it is new to having this cloud-based solution, right? All right. So as promised, we're going to jump into some demos. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at blue dot wayfinding. And what's a bit unique about this is it's all done through Spaces. Traditionally, we would have done this through partners and maybe external entities. Now we're doing this all inside of Spaces. And so you're going to look at this in a second live on the, recorded live on the floor at Cisco Live. All right. Then we're going to look at some intelligent packet capture. We're going to look at the Meraki assurance overview. We're going to look at some new innovations in the RF monitoring in AIRM. And then we're going to jump to Catalyst Center for a second. And this has been something that's been missing, I think, for a while, and that's the ability to do AP auto placement. So that's a big deal. We'll talk about why. And then a little bit about some alerts from the dashboard standpoint. And then we're going to end up with a little bit of Catalyst Center again, but talking about some of the switching, the brownfield switching that occurs in the new version of Catalyst. Okay. As promised, we're going to talk a little bit about Spaces. We're going to show you a demo, a live tracking, right? In this particular case, we're going to do this with the new Wi-Fi 7 access points. The real need for this is the ability to do BLE. So as long as your access points support BLE, in this particular case, we can support the wayfinding. And what's unique about this is we're actually doing wayfinding, not just showing you a path. We're doing the blue dot tracking, right? And we'll talk a little bit about what the differences are here going forward. But just know that we have the capability of actually doing the blue dot tracking. The other thing that's important about this is, remember I talked about the one license to rule them all, so to speak, right? Spaces is part of that now, right? So if you get an Essentials license, you get Spaces Extend. If you get an Advantage license, you have Spaces Act on those devices. So it comes as part of the package deal, so to speak, right? All right, so let's stop this. And let's jump into some demos. All right. Maybe. Stop sharing for a second here. Let's see if we can. All right. Is this thing not?
Al, while you bring that up,
Yep.
I just want to direct this to Mincy. Hey Mincy, some questions came up here. Future mesh support on the Wi-Fi 7 portfolio.
Well,
Should we
mesh
thinking
feature
about
has
it?
been supported. I mean, there's two modes, right? The mesh with the Meraki mode, which is always turned on, and the mesh on Catalyst Center, we are actually taking some bold move. Bold move being the integration of the curb radio, Cisco ultra reliable wireless backhaul, being integrated as a part of a Wi-Fi 7 AP. Which means that now you can have almost as if you have a WGB 2.0, that the extremely fast mobile devices, AGV, train, buses, F1 drive car can roam in the speed of 100 miles per hour using Wi-Fi with no packet loss. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's what
Thank you,
we
Mincy.
demonstrated on the Cisco Live Whisper Suite. But yes, that's
Awesome.
coming.
So Brian, if you're out there, your wish just came true there, man. All right, Al, back to you.
All right. Tell me if you hear this. I mean, flag me if you don't hear the sound.
I'm Dennis on the Cisco Spaces PM team here at Cisco Live in Amsterdam. To talk a little bit about how we're using the Cisco wireless infrastructure to provide attendees with blue dot wayfinding around the space. So using the existing Cisco wireless infrastructure that already was in the venue, we've enabled BLE beaconing to triangulate the location on your phone and provide blue dot as you navigate the space. In this hall, the APs are about 35 feet high, so we've got varying power levels between the APs that are up high and on some of the outside edges that are at a more typical height. On this map, I can find a location where I want to go. I'm going to go to the Cisco Spaces booth. So attendees can use the web export to search. They'll get a path, but what we really want is how do I get there on my phone? So I scan this QR code. I'm going to open up an app clip on the phone. No need to download anything. This is a temporary app that the user can open to provide that wayfinding. So the app clip is like a temporary app that Apple's developed. So it's not browser-based. It's not an app download. It lives on your phone until you're done with it. You could delete it manually, or it goes away when you're done using it.
So I would assume that's like an iOS function, right?
It's an iOS function. Android offers a similar feature. Theirs has a different name. We do have some limitations on Android with that temporary app clip where Android doesn't pass the code we need to get the blue dot. So you just get a path on an Android, and on the phone, on the iOS, you get the blue dot. But what we have done for Cisco Live is we've used the Cisco Spaces Maps SDK and integrated that map into the Cisco Events app. With the SDK, the experience does have parity across both platforms. So Android users using the app will get the blue dot. So I allow BLE on my phone, and then I say, take me there, and I get my blue dot, and I get my path to follow.
Just hold that up again. I want to just see that for a second.
As an example, we're going to navigate to the Cisco Spaces booth using the blue dot on my phone. Is this good?
You can kind of see as you're going along, you see the map on the right-hand side. So you can kind of see how it drifts off a little bit, right? So it shows them in the middle of the booth for a little bit. But all in all, it's locating him within just a few feet.
I can hold it here while we walk if you want.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
And just make sure you caught the little comment about the applet on the Apple that allows you to do this. Samsung has something like that, but that doesn't allow you to do that interactive blue dot, right? But with an SDK.
And now you can see we've arrived at the Spaces booth and the journey has ended. So just to summarize, what you would need to make this happen: a high density deployment for location-based services of your APs, enable BLE beaconing, configure your major, minor, and make sure the UID is set. Spaces takes that data, and we turn around, ingest the map, combine the data with the map, and we provide the blue dot wayfinding. So we do get the question, can I use UWB in this solution over BLE? Today, the answer is no, but that is something we're working on. We need to get that information exposed via iOS or Android. The Wi-Fi 7 APs do have UWB, and we will be incorporating that in this solution in the future, which will give us a more precise blue dot, as well as other location-based services.
All right. So don't say you didn't get to go to Amsterdam now, right?
Blue dot to prove it.
Exactly. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to come back to Dallas. This is out of my lab, and we're going to take a look at some of the new features in assurance. So I'm going to paint a picture here for you just to maybe kind of help you sort of understand what we're doing. So imagine, if you would, that you are the IT administrator, and there is this gentleman. His name is Jeff, and Jeff, in fact, we call him Jeff the Terrible. And he's so hard to get along with that we've given him his own facility out back, and we put his own AP out there, right? Just because we want him out there by himself. So we said, okay, let's just give him everything he needs. We can cater to him. Well, the first thing that happens is we put this new AP in. We put Jeff in the building, Jeff Terrible in the building, and of course, he immediately starts having issues. So he calls us up. Of course, by 8 o'clock in the morning, he's called us up like 3 or 4 times, right? So immediately we decide, well, it's happened fairly recently. So we go up at the top here. We're going to select the last 2 hours. And we're going to look at the top down now, right? So we're going to see kind of what's out there. So I've got 8 clients that have problems. I do see there's some associations, some authentication, but in particular, based on the description he was telling me, I see 4 clients that were impacted by DHCP and they have negative responses, right? So one of the things I can see is, hey, look, his 9178 we gave him is not working. And we know that Jeff loves to be on Ironman because he's a Marvel guy. And so he is not happy that he can't get on his Ironman SSID. So we thought, see, there's Jeff. He's not happy, right? That's Jeff's not happy face. And you got to deal with this if you don't fix the issue, right? So we thought, okay, let's go to intelligent packet capture and let's see how this looks. So first thing we did was we went to the stored capture. Well, we already engaged proactive capture, right? So that was running in the background. So let's take a look and see what the overall report says for this particular circumstance on this particular AP. Well, it shows me multiple DHCP servers, great. But then it shows me that I have DHCP transactions that are not completed. So they're failing DHCP. And of course, I'm not getting any ICMP, DNS, or ARP. So obviously there's a pretty serious connectivity. Of course, one of the things that Jeff does is he phones us up. He sticks his phone into WebEx and wants to show us what this looks like, right? So he's showing us, he says, hey, I try to connect to Ironman, right? And you can see when I try to connect to Ironman, it acts like it's connecting, but it doesn't seem to want to connect. I don't understand. And so he said, well, in fact, I wanted to get off of something else and my phone wanted to try it again. So it tried it again, even though I didn't want it to, and it's still trying, right? So my phone is trying really hard. Your network is obviously broke. So then he's going to connect back up to his open roaming SSID and connect, and he's happy. So that just told me a little bit about what's going on also, right? It's unique to that Ironman SSID, and he's obviously able to connect to open roaming. So now I thought, let's go look at the packets, right? Let's instead of just looking at sort of the summary from the packets, let's look at the packets. And you can see I have packets here, just like I would if I had downloaded packets from Wireshark or something like that. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this is actually over-the-air packets. And if you've done troubleshooting like this before, one of the challenges is anything but the management packets, and now even with Wi-Fi 7, for example, the management packets are encrypted. So you don't get to see a whole lot of information. If you're looking for information on DHCP, for example, you're not going to see it because it's all encrypted. So because I have this intelligent packet capture, it's all decrypted. So I thought, well, I'm going to look for boot parameters. Okay, I didn't see anything there. So let's just try another filter. Let's try just DHCP. These are filters like you would typically use on Wireshark. And sure enough, I come up with all the DHCP packets. Now, if you look at this pretty quickly, you see there's something funny going on here, right? I'm constantly getting a DHCP discover, but I'm never getting a DHCP offer or obviously the reply or anything like that, right? And the whole DORA process is broke. So I can drill into a packet just again, like I would with Wireshark. I can go down and look at the particular client, make sure I'm looking at the right MAC address on this client, for example. I can see, what's going on with that particular packet. Well, now I thought, okay, so we got a pretty good idea. We got a connectivity issue. Let's go from the bottom up now, from the bottom up. So we go back to assurance again. We look at this. And so here's the clients again. We've been here before. Let's just click on this client this time and go bottom up. Okay, so we can click on the client. All right, so first thing, we're going to come up into the overview page for that particular client. We can see if he's got any usage, what's going on with that client. But the thing I want to go to here is I want to look at the timeline. Okay, so if I go to the timeline, I can see there's some successful disassociations, but the third one down is exactly what I'm looking for. Failed to connect to the SSID. Why? All right. So right off the bat, the first recommendation says, check that VLAN 172 is tagged on Ironman SSID. Guess what? I know that in my group policy, I assigned the wrong VLAN, right? I did that on purpose because I wanted to create this problem. That's exactly what it just told me here, right? So it just diagnosed exactly what I needed. And of course, because it diagnosed the right problem, we got Jeff the Terrible back online, and he's not so terrible anymore. He's a happy guy, right? Thanks to AI, we can make Jeff look like any way we want. Okay, so hey, so we got an AI in this presentation, right? So now we're looking at just packet capture. We're going to go back a little bit and just look at packet capture. So first of all, with packet capture, there's different kinds of packet captures. As you know, we've in the past been able to do packet captures off the AP. That's nothing new. I can do them here now in this same intelligent packet capture menu. I can capture things directly from different access points. I can create filters. I can put in notes and comments. So if I want to come back to it, they're all stored in the cloud, right? If I start a filter and it goes over my duration, it uses that ring buffer. So it's just constantly refreshing itself, effectively last in, first out, right? And then I can do this based on tags. I can do this. So then now we're back to the intelligent packet capture again. So this was running, we were running it for all devices, but I can also run this for just the a particular AP if I wanted to. In my case, I don't have that many APs, so I'm just letting it run on across all the APs. Now, you can also launch packet captures from other devices, like an MX security appliance, right? In this particular case, it's just more or less cross-launching me into the MX packet capture capability, but I can go to MX and grab packets there. Now, let's say that I like the proactive capturing, but I want to do a switch, right? So let's try going to a switch and do proactive capturing on a switch. All right, so notice that the proactive packet capture is gone. All right, so what are we saying here? Proactive packet capture is not available on switching yet, right? So it's coming. I've been told it's coming, but it's not available yet. So if the only thing that we have that's proactive packet capture is available for today is the access points. All right, which is probably the primary reason that we'd want to use that. Okay. All right, so now let's look, we're going to refocus on some RF stuff. So if we look at these particular access points or this particular network, I want to drill down a little bit. We're getting some reports of issues with intermittent connectivity and that sort of stuff that we don't think this is a network issue. We think this is an RF issue. So first thing I can do now is I can see very quickly things like, what does my channel utilization look like on those access points? On each band, what does it look? Now, this is a point in time, granted, right? So we can see what this looks like at a point in time, but it's still very interesting. And now that I know what my channel utilization looks like, I can jump into this and I can get more detail. So right now I can see my 5 gig spectrum, and I can see the channel bandwidth on that's an 80 megahertz channel for 5 gig. And I have a 40 megahertz channel for 2 gig, right? For 2.4 rather. Sorry, 20 megahertz for my 2.4. But then I'm going to back this up. I'm going to go back to where I was just a second ago, right? If you look up here in this top left corner, there's this little button up here. This little blue button. When you click that button, it shows you what's going on in the rest of the world, right? So now all of a sudden I have 16 APs on the same channel as me, and I have 152 APs that are in the environment that are broadcasting 5 gigahertz stuff, right? And you can see some of those are pretty strong, right? If I look at 2.4, it's worse, right? So I have 68 that are on the same channel. That's obvious because I only have 3 channels, but and I have 105 APs that it can see overall, right? So there's a lot of information here that kind of used to be hidden in just kind of waterfall plots and that kind of stuff that you can now see plainly on this RF spectrum analysis. All right, so now let's go see what we can do about our RF. So first thing we can do is we create profiles. And no matter what I do, I'm going to operate within profiles. So it's always good to understand what my profiles are. So I'm going to have profiles for 2.4. I'm going to have profiles for 5 and 6 gigahertz. And basically, they're going to set things like, what are my minimum data rates? What are my max min power settings? What channels should I allow? That sort of stuff, kind of the boundaries, if you will. And then we come in and we can turn on AIRM. Now, AIRM is going to work within those boundaries that we've set up. Okay. So the nice thing about this is it's super simple to enable, right? I mean, it's what, 3 clicks, worst case, 4 if you want to enable FRA. So first thing we turn it on, that's going to give us all the power control and that kind of stuff. And then we're going to say, hey, let's add that AI capability to the channel planning. So we're going to go ahead and add AI channel planning, and then we're going to enable the busy hour. Now, what's the busy hour thing? And why is that important? Traditionally, the way RM works is it takes a snapshot in time and then says, hey, I'm going to act on that. Well, when you really need it to act is when you're really busy, right? But when you don't want it to make changes is when you're really busy. So that's a problem, right? So it's kind of a dichotomy. So what this allows us to do is define what those busy hours are and then say, wait a minute, I know what the best solution is for the busy hour, and then implement it in the off busy hours. So I impact very few clients, but I get the best performance from the network without having to have all of this disruption during that busy hour. Okay. All right. We're going to jump over from the dashboard now to the Catalyst Center. And on Catalyst Center, this is something we've been missing for a while, right? You may remember that we could do AP auto locate with spaces. We can do AP auto locate with the dashboard. But even with spaces, if I did with spaces, I couldn't pull that map into, after I built it in spaces, I couldn't pull it into Catalyst Center. There's no way to sort of import those maps. So now we finally have this in Catalyst Center. This is a big deal, right? And a couple of reasons, I think. One is with Catalyst Center, I also can do some limited RF planning with my APs, right? So I get an idea what my coverage looks like and all that kind of stuff. So placing my access points becomes very important and I can also export this into spaces now so that I can get accurate location information in spaces. Okay, let me slow down here just a second. So first thing we did was we came in and we said, okay, before we place any access points, we got to select some access points, right? So we come over here, we find the ones that are auto locate capable, basically the 9120s and up, right? And then we're just going to type in a filter, if you will, to look for the particular APs for this particular floor. We're going to select all the APs for this floor, and then we're just going to put them on the floor and assign them to the floor. Now, they're not assigned to the map yet. They're just assigned to the floor. Now, if you notice, so we can turn on now auto locate. The first thing it tells us to do is we need position for APs. And of course, the better that you do about positioning them around, say, the circumference of this, the better it'll be in terms of positioning the overall AP. So we're just going to put these APs on top of the spot on the map where we believe that they go. All right. And these need to be pretty precise, right? Because everything is based on that. Okay. And then we just go to the top right corner, run the auto locate. It goes off, it thinks about it a little bit, runs some calculations, comes back and says, okay, I've just positioned 15 of your APs. You have 4 APs that you've defined as anchor APs, and then I position the rest, right? So cool. I mean, that was a big time saver over having to position all those on a map. All right. Now, I can see on the map there's keys. So if you see the little stick pin thing, that means it's an anchor. If you see the little plus sign on the blue, that means it was positioned. And we're using the fine time measurements to position this, right? So if you're familiar with fine time measurements, basically it's a time-based measurement similar to ultra wideband, but it's done through Wi-Fi, not through the ultra wideband, right? All right. And then positions it, we can do a little bit of RF planning. Now, here's the really cool part, because in most cases, most of the Catalyst Center deployments have been imported, the maps at least have been imported from some prior deployment, like in Prime, right? I would say at least 50% of Catalyst Center. So if you notice on the top right corner, we just clicked on that Run AP Auto Locate on an existing map, all right? Now, on that map, it's told me which APs were swapped, which APs need to be moved, right? And so I can see there's keys on the map themselves, but there's also kind of a picture here. So I can say, hey, this AP was in the wrong location. We had to move it to this particular location. So it shows us here that AP was moved, okay? And then we also had some APs that had to get shuffled or swapped around, right? So if you look at this one, I've got an AP that needs to move to the right. I've got the one on the right needs to move to the bottom. The one on the bottom needs to move to the one on the top. So it's done that for me, and it's told me, hey, I've swapped these around for you because these APs were swapped on a map. Now, I'm going to tell you that I just as an example, I did the Las Vegas Convention Center years ago, 500 access points in one room, and they were all spaced out perfectly in terms of a grid. But if you got one of those MAC addresses mixed up, the location services across that entire area were messed up, right? So we spent weeks turning lights on and off just to make sure everything was set up right. This would literally have saved us weeks of time based on what this can do now. Okay, all right.
Al, those were two phenomenal demos that I saw there. The AP auto locate and proactive PCAPs. Like, as a wireless engineer, that's like 75% of my day.
It is. It is.
And then with the proactive PCAP as well, like probably one of the most frustrating things is we had an issue.
Yep.
Now we need to monitor and catch that issue live with the PCAP. With proactive PCAPs, we see the event log, we automatically take the PCAP, and then we have that data in real time to find. So those
I've never had a
Awesome
client
tools.
tell me, I've never had a client tell me, hey, I'm going to have a problem tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
They don't.
It's just not happened in 30 years. It's just not happened.
Well,
So,
this was a tremendous, tremendous update here. Really appreciate you going through those. I got to leave a few minutes for
yeah,
Yale here at the end to come in and give us our IoT update. So, Yale, if you're out there, you can take it away and welcome.
Great, thanks for having me, guys. And yeah, Al, thanks for leaving me a full 10 minutes here to go over all this. Appreciate you
it
cutting
was
it short
Frank's
for
fault.
me. Okay, let me pull up some slides. We could jump right into it. Give me 1 second. Let me know if you guys see that okay.
Yes.
Perfect. And just to give you guys a quick introduction, I'm Yale O. I'm the IoT solutions architect. So I work with the IoT team here at Meraki, and I'm just basically the technical side of the house. So anytime customers have technical questions around our cameras and sensors, that's usually when I'll jump in and help out. But we do have a couple of new and exciting products that I want to share with you all that were announced during the Cisco Live presentation. Um, so the first one is the MV53X bullet style camera. If you guys are familiar with the cameras that we have right now, we do have an MV52 and it was a bullet style camera. So we basically just added a lot of improvements to that model and came out with this one. So we now have an 8 megapixel image sensor. We could record up to 4K resolution. It does have IR similar to the previous model, along with the 3x zoom capabilities. So that's using the actual lens of the camera to zoom in and out. It has audio and 120 days of video retention. The analytics are going to be really similar to the previous model at this point. We do have a new analytics feature that I'll jump into for this, but for the most part, the analytics are going to look really similar. So things like people detection, vehicle detection, attribute search, and presence analytics. And that includes the line crossing analytics that we have and also the area analytics. So being able to tell how long or how many people are inside of a certain area that you could define inside the camera settings. And at the very bottom, you could just see a couple of use cases. I've definitely seen it in a lot of parking lots. I think that's probably like the most popular use case I've come across. But also if you have like more advanced analytics customers. So I've worked with one customer who was trying to get really high definition, clear footage of an assembly line so they could tell when a product isn't looking correct on that assembly line. And we were able to do that through a partnership with Cogniac and object detection. So that's also a use case I see occasionally. The second new model that we've come out with is the MV84X. It's a multi-imager camera. This is probably the model that I've been most excited about for years now, actually. So this was a very long time in the making, but really, really high demand for it. So for the first time ever, Meraki has released a model with multiple sensors inside of the camera shell. So it has 4 different imagers inside of a single body. Each one of those sensors are going to be 5 megapixels of resolution. It also has IR, integrated audio, and this one also has 120 days of video retention. Search tools include motion search, motion recap. So again, like really similar tools as all the other models. I'm not sure if attribute search is going to be on this from the day of release, but I do know like once we give it a couple software updates, we will be patching it up so it will have, feature parity with the rest of our models. Let's do a quick time check here. Got about 6 minutes. And use cases. So I mean, this is more about like placement. So this is going to be able to replace some 360-degree cameras that we have out there already. If you have like 4-way cross hallways, you could put a single one of these up to look across all those hallways. It's great because you only need like one PoE wire to get 4 different angles of a single camera. And I don't have like a live demo of this just because we don't have the camera set up yet. in our demos, but I have seen it, and it basically just looks like a video wall with 4 different cameras on it. So really, really intuitive, and super excited to try this out. Lastly, the cross camera tracking feature is going to be coming very soon. We don't have an exact date yet. They just told us it's coming soon. So this is going to be sort of like a person of interest type feature. The great thing about this is we don't actually use any facial recognition to accomplish this. So it's really, really secure. We don't have any sensitive data stored anywhere. We're mainly just looking at like the overall shape, colors, and just some more like ML AI type things to determine whether or not a person is the same or similar to the object that you're searching for. And I do have a demo that I want to pull up. It's only like a minute, 30 seconds long. So give me 1 second and I'll get that started for you all.
And Jeff is anxiously awaiting his ability to give everybody a quiz at the end. Just so stick around.
Okay, that's also good to know. Okay, let me play this right now. Do you guys all see that okay?
We got you, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so the audio on this isn't super clear, so I'm just going to sort of talk through this while it's going. This is one of the product engineers at Cisco, or product managers at Cisco. His name's Ollie, and he's great. So he's basically showing this live at Cisco Live. And in a second here, he's going to show us the vision portal. And he just did this is just exactly what it looks like today. If you do an event search, he's looking at February 11th from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. And you can see right now, he's just looking at a single camera. So up to this point, it's pretty much the exact same. But once you click inside of an image, you can see now, I'll just pause right here. Instead of having, like the attributes on the right side here now, which I had before, so you could search for other people who are wearing a similar shirt or similar pants. Now you actually see like a full object. So it can determine like people or different kinds of objects that are inside of a frame. And then if you select a person, you'll be able to see like other people who are similar to the person that you selected. So really similar to what we had in terms of attribute search, but now we've taken it a step further and we're combining those different attributes to actually be able to tell the camera like, hey, listen, like this is a certain person that we want to look out for. Can you do a search across multiple cameras for that person? And then here you can see right now we have a lot of different people. They all sort of have like maybe similar color clothes or a similar shape to George, who's the person that we were searching for. But you'll see in a second here, you could actually adjust the level of similarity that you need. So that way, you could narrow down your search or widen it depending on what you're looking for. So now he sort of increased the match level to 96%, and you can see it narrowed down. He raised it a little further, and now we're down to just 3 images, and they were all George. So really cool, really neat feature that's coming out, and I'm super excited to try that one as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all the updates from my end. So back
Awesome. Yeah.
to
Yeah. Thank you, man. Great stuff on there. Really, really exciting, some new hardware announcements there. And we did get a little bit of a sneak preview from Brink at the beginning here that there was a new switch that came out as well. So that quad imager camera, much like our quad client radio 9178 access point, that is going to require 60-watt PoE. And so the MS150 series, this is a beautiful entry-level switch for those UPoE M-Gig use cases. My advice is please do not try to light up a Wi-Fi 7 access point with 15.4 or 30 watts. We turn off the USB port, we start turning off spatial streams. Once you start disabling spatial streams on Wi-Fi 7, Wi-Fi 6E, you kind of have a Wi-Fi 6 or AC Wave 2 access point at that time. So certainly, we wanted to make sure we had an entry-level switch to have that 60-watt power available as well as M-Gig speeds. And we didn't just put in higher performance and more power on that switch. We also added perpetual and fast PoE. Perpetual PoE allows continuous PoE delivery even during a reboot of the switch. And then fast PoE after the device gets hard powered down, devices that have already registered with LLDP, we will immediately send power to that port once PoE is available to the switch. And so we can minimize the downtime for these mission critical applications like video surveillance cameras. And remember, all Meraki cameras, well, except for like maybe one model, do edge storage. So as long as that AP is getting power, we're running onboard compute, we're running onboard storage, and all of that data is being collected and stored. All right, so now for the big event here, we do have 2 Wi-Fi 7 access points that we are going to be giving away. Please do type your answers in the chat box. And I want a few people to reply here. But again, the first 2 with the correct response will win. Again, we're going to use the chat box for this. And then I did want to bring up the whole family photo of all the Wi-Fi 7 hardware from the new 9172I and H that we released today to the 76 I and D, as well as the 78, which we launched in December of last year, because the quiz today. And so y'all might want to take a quick screen capture
Yeah, I
of
was
this
just saying,
because it's going to
quick
be
memorize this or
relevant.
take a screenshot.
And what we're going to do here is we're going to match the use case with the most appropriate hardware. So we have 8 different use cases and we have 6 different cameras. I'm sorry, 6 different access points. And that is going to be our answer on the bottom.
So it's going to be
here-
letters, just to be
It's
clear, right? So you're going to
correct,
answer
yeah.
those. Yeah, each of those, 1 will have a letter and then 2 will have a letter. So you'll have letters in a row there.
Yeah, and type out the entire thing. It's going to be 8 sequential letters, potentially spelling a word.
Was that actually a word?
Maybe 2.
Okay. Let's see, was that a question or somebody answered the question? Okay, no.
Sorry, really making you all work for some from APs this session here, it looks like. And here's another hint for all of the programmers out there. All right, I just saw the first one come up on the screen. You can just type it, chat it to everybody. Again, we're just looking for the fastest response here.
Put in the chat or put in the Q&A, either one. We'll find it.
We'll find it. We'll track you down. We have timestamps on all this stuff. Yeah, maybe we should just quickly kind of run through these here.
Yeah, let's do that.
And so the first one, the indoor atrium or warehouse requiring 10-meter plus mount heights. Well, we're going to want some sort of directional patch antenna there. The 9176D, or letter D, is the perfect one for that. Redundant uplink ports for mission critical applications. The only AP with dual uplink ports is the 9178i. So that's going to be an E. The third one, ceiling mount for low medium density. That is the newly released 9172i A. The next one, discrete coverage cell, leveraging internal directional antenna. That's that same as number one, the 9176D. The next one, wall mount device for hotel rooms and dormitories. That is going to be the 9172H. The 16 spatial stream support, that is our flagship. That is the 9178I. 4 client serving radios covering 3 different spectrums, 2.4, 5, and 6. That again is the 9178i. And then the IP67 rated. So we do not have an IP67 rated Wi-Fi 7 access point. So we're going to be using the 9163E, which is a Wi-Fi 6E. And so all you coders out there, you might see the word dead beef in here, which is everyone's favorite hexadecimal Easter egg we put in code. So I think we have some respondees, and again, we're going to go through the chat, and we're going to reach out to y'all for getting those correct responses in here. And
We got some pretty close.
We got some pretty close out.
close.
All right. Well, Al,
Yeah.
we're gonna go by the timestamp, but we're gonna do some best judgment on that. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us this month for our Cisco Live EMEA recap. And a reminder, we're coming to San Diego June 8th through 12th, 2025 for our next Cisco Live America session. Hope to see you all there, and join us next month for our next edition of Mastering Enterprise Networking. Cheers, everyone. Thanks, Al.
Jeff.
Thanks, Yale. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Cheers.
Cheers.